Kind of scripted. Hey, it's kind of scripted. What's happening with you people? It is Willie Barnes bringing you hashtag kind of scripted, the webinar series where we bring you a variety of different experts in a variety of different fields to help provide us with the information we need to go out here and create our heaven on earth, right? There's so much that they don't teach us in school. And this webinar series is really focused on putting us back in the driver's seat, putting us in control by providing the information we need in order to go utilize different resources to go make our dreams a reality. So, as you know, I'm Willie Barnes Jr., author, founder, entrepreneur, and my mission, my purpose is to really instill a mindset of purpose, passion, and authority in the community. So we have the courage to go out here and create our heaven on earth. As you know, we got the book, Manipulate Home Ownership, the Cash and Resource Machine, that's really focused on teaching homeowners and potential homeowners how to think when it comes to home ownership, but more so how to think and when it comes to not just looking at our home as just a place to stay, but as a real investment tool that can help us achieve our wildest dreams if we know how to go about thinking about it, right? If we actually utilize it as the investment tool that it is and not just the American dream, right? But most importantly, and I fall in this boat of someone who really needs this webinar series today. And it's talking about how can we improve our credit score to actually achieve our goal of becoming a homeowner. So just a quick testimony from me, like as an entrepreneur, you know, my first few years were really hard, right? And we lost a lot of stuff financially, which caused our credit score to go way down. And so, you know, we do have dreams of becoming a homeowner, right? I go and I teach all these people how to become a homeowner, and I'm actually utilizing these tools, these resources, these teachings myself in order to go out and make this a reality. And the person that we have today, my guy, Jamel L. Phillips, he's an entrepreneur, he's a credit consultant, he's the owner of Abundant Future Financial. You know, me and him were talking, and he's gonna help me. Like I said, he's gonna provide you all with some information, but I am a student of this information as well, right? But I really, before we, you know, really get over to Jamel, I want to introduce why this is so important, okay? Why this is so important. So again, we're going to talk about credit restoration and just credit in general and how we put ourselves in position to build our credit and restore our credit scores. But I want y'all to understand right now, we're in a period where COVID-19 has caused the financial industry to look a little more weird, right? And because of that, the low credit scores that once were able to get approved to get a loan or a mortgage, those aren't getting approved anymore. For example, once upon a time, you used to be able to get a mortgage, a FHA loan with a credit score as low as 550, 580, right? Now, COVID-19, mortgage companies are allowing homeowners to push back or do forbearance on their loans, so they're not having to make payments right now, which means mortgage companies aren't getting paid right now, right? So what that means is they're constricting the guidelines of what it takes to actually position ourselves to become a homeowner. So once upon a time when it would take a 550 or a 580, that's now gone up to a 640. And I think I saw an article that Jamel posted that and I'll actually let him get into this, but Chase, I believe, I think they're saying you have to have a 700 credit score in order to get approved for a mortgage through them, right? So what I'm passionate about is that doesn't mean it's not possible. That just means we have work to do, right? We have more work to do. And that means people like Jamel and the information that he's here to share with us today is extremely important. Our credit has never been as important as it is today. Not only to go obviously put ourselves in position to go purchase a home, but I'm one of those who think it's our ability to go get credit, not so we can go trick off, you know what I'm saying, get that nice car, you know, run up the credit cards, but our ability to go get credit so we can make power plays like go purchase real estate, like go purchase assets, whatever the case may be. Having stable and great credit has never been so important. And, you know, Jamel, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to come talk to us today, man. I really believe that this information is going to completely empower the community in a way where they have hope. right? Because I think as we see these guidelines and these requirements to get a mortgage go up, that can really dampen people's spirit, which it shouldn't. All it should mean is we just got work to do. And when it comes to working with people like yourself, and getting putting ourselves in position to get the information and to go again, work with someone like you to help restore our credit and get it to where it needs to be. Home ownership is still a real thing. It's still a real thing. So, hey, Jamel, thank you for letting me hit that long-winded intro, right? Again, I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you coming on. And yeah, just if you could go and introduce yourself a little bit and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hey, man, I'm so excited to be here, man. I'm grateful that you've invited me on here. And I want to say this. Credit is more important now than ever. You can't afford to live with bad credit. And if you have poor credit, or you have bad credit, the one thing I want you to know before we even get into anything, it's not a life sentence. It's possible for you to get good credit, excellent credit. It's not that far off. And so, the reason that I'm so passionate about helping people and consulting with credit and helping people turn their life around is because I've been through it. I started out in life, for whatever reason, I had excellent credit as a kid, right? And like most of us, life happens. Student loans. A lot of us feel like we're buried in student loans and like we'll never get that off of our credit. You go to buy a house and now it's like my student loans or my debt to income ratio, or you might have medical bills because something happened that was not even your fault. And now you have all these medical bills and these things are on your credit report. Credit cards. And the crazy thing about it, did they ever teach you anything about credit when you were in school?
Not at all.
So they taught you zero zilch, right?
Zero.
However, as soon as we turn 18, around that time frame, they're in the mail, we're getting all different types of offers for credit cards. So before they ever educate us on how credit works, how important credit is, they never ever give us an education on how to utilize credit or how important it will be in our life. So for a lot of us, things happen, things take place. We have repossessions. You might have judgments. You might have liens. All these different things, and you literally feel stress and pressure, like you can't live your dreams, like you can't purchase a home, like you can't get approved for a vehicle. And how are you going to move forward? How are you going to have a relationship? Who would want you if you have poor credit? But the reality is, you don't have these items. These negative items can be removed. And so that's what I specialize in. I specialize in helping people, educating them, not only on how to build their credit, because there are little tricks, and we're going to get into that. There are tricks that you can actually do, little tips and pointers that you can actually utilize to build your credit rapidly, like little subtle things. So we'll get into that.
Oh, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. You got me ready. Again, like I said, I'm a student of this information, bro. I need this, just as much as anybody else out there, man. So I really appreciate it. Before we really get into the nitty gritty, I really like to let the community know who we're talking to, right? Because at the end of the day, we work with people. So before we, get going, too deep, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, bro?
All right. So I'm from Orlando, Florida. So that Orlando is home. I grew up in Virginia and moved here about 10 years ago, and I love it here. Love it.
Love it here. Nice, bro. So what's your background? I know you're an entrepreneur. I met you quite some time ago, but what's your background and what are you passionate about?
So my life mission is to help people, businesses, and communities prosper by educating people in the areas of love, life, business, and faith. My standpoint has always been what's actually important in life. There are a billion things that you can get into. There are a billion things that you can focus on. But what are the things that are critical for us to be successful at life? And so I study these areas, and then I turn around and share the wisdom that I gained from my studies, because I want everybody to win and everybody to prosper. And I truly believe it's about first creating a culture. You have to decide what kind of culture you want to have for yourself and your family and your friends, right? And then it's about building wealth, and building wealth for yourself, and then leaving a legacy. Because the first thing you have to do is you have to earn. Then you have to learn how to manage what you earn, and then you're in a position to give without restriction.
Wow, that's powerful, bro. So first you got to earn, Then you have to be able to manage what you earn. Then you're able to give without restriction. I think so often we get caught up on especially, in the communities where we're from, like we get caught up on, we know we got to earn, right? Because you got to eat.
Right.
How often do we see people earn and then it's just gone? You know what I mean? Like, that's not even what this is about. But again, you got to earn, you got to manage what you earn. And then that puts you in position to give abundantly with no restriction. I love that, bro. I'm gonna go write that on my vision board. Like, my guy, that's potent. All right. So, what led you to get into, credit restoration? I mean, I kind of have an idea based off of what you just told me, but what led you to get into the credit restoration field and world?
So, as you mentioned, I'll kind of highlight this as well. I started off as an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur as long as I was 5 years old. I was in the barber shop. I saw a broom. I started sweeping. Next thing I know, the barber, the owner of the shop, he actually gave me $5. So that was the first entrepreneurial thing that I did. And I said, hey, if I actually apply myself, I can earn income. And so years later, I ended up building my own company, building a product, selling it worldwide. After that, I kind of got into the social media world, learned how to build brands and market and build companies online digitally. So I did that, was successful at that. And then after that, I said, what can I do next? And I really found that I was passionate about changing industries and educating and innovating small to mid-sized businesses and helping individuals. But since I was a child, I've always been passionate about, I hate lack. So I'll say this. I am on a mission to bring abundance and to destroy a lack mentality, because I see people's pain. I see the hurt when it comes to financials and financial literacy. That bothers me. And so I've always felt passionate about changing that, making a difference. But I actually went from having great credit to life happened. I was in a car accident. Next thing I knew, I had horrible credit. I wouldn't talk about credit for years. You couldn't have a conversation with me about credit. And then one day I said, you know what? I want a family one day. I want a house and a home and to be able to share life with somebody. And I said, if I'm really being a man and I'm being accountable about that, I got to face this credit thing. And I began to work on my credit. There are lots of institutions out there that will take your money and they won't give you any results. And that bothered me. And so I began to educate myself and actually met one of the gurus in the industry. There are very few people that understand how to fix credit the way that I do. There's a science to it, no different than like a surgeon. And the more I learned and studied and worked with my mentor, the more passionate and obsessed I became about helping people and changing lives. And I found out what these institutions are doing. I'd always known how we were being exploited financially when it comes to credit and money. And now my mission is to help as many people as possible to restore their credit and to give them another chance of life.
Powerful, bro. Powerful, absolutely powerful. So tell me, what is something that people tend to misunderstand when it comes to credit?
So the biggest thing that I find is people feel like credit is a bad thing. And the reality is credit's a game. So whether and the thing about a game is if you don't know the rules to a game and you're forced to play it, because no matter whether you want to play the credit game or not play the credit game, you're in it, right? So you're being judged, evaluated, and you have to make life decisions. Those life decisions factor in credit, whether you have credit or don't have credit. And so most people don't have any type of credit because they feel like it's bad. But the reality is if you are not building credit, which is 35% of your credit score, then that's hurting you. Especially if the 40% of your credit, the other 40% of your credit score, there's 100%, but 40% is your past history. So if you have bad past history in credit and 35% you're not creating or using any credit, that's 75% of your script that makes up of your credit score. So you need to learn how to manage credit, how to build credit, and how to restore your past history in order to be able to afford things.
Okay. So what exactly is credit restoration? Because I think we understand, and we're going to touch on this a little bit more. We know what it means to build credit, right? We may not know how, but I think we know or heard of building credit, but not many people I don't think have heard of credit restoration. And I love the word restoration. You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's just there's so much. It's kind of scripted about that, right? Like we could get into that, but
Yeah,
what
yeah.
exactly is credit restoration?
So a lot of people use the term credit repair. I don't use the word credit repair. I use the word credit restoration because what we're doing is essentially we're restoring what was taken from you. We're restoring what was broken and damaged. That comes from a faith place for me because my source is a source of restoration. So what I do is I help people because again, that 40% of their credit report or their credit score is made up of their history, and a lot of times those repossessions, those medical bills, those student loans, all those things that are hurting your credit score because those are things that are from the past. So what I do is I help you with the removal process to restore your credit. So when you remove those items, we're able to restore your credit and your credit history, and then begin to work to build your credit and do those things simultaneously so that way you can have a great credit score and begin to have excellent credit. But the most important thing about it is learning to manage credit.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to talk on that managed credit, and I'm gonna make a note to come back there. But I want to ask you something that I know the people want to know, and this is something that I wanted to know as well. Does it work? I know you said you're a success story, and we've heard of so many entities out there that you pay them monthly, right? You just pay them, and nothing's happening, right?
Right.
Nothing's happening. We see the credit score may go up for a little bit because stuff is in what is it called, like judgment or whatever. But when you stop paying and that stuff gets out of whatever that word is, maybe you can help me with the word. Let's just use judgment when they're battling it. When that stuff doesn't fall
Dispute
off,
process.
yeah, the dispute process. It's like I just spent all this money and nothing happened. You know. So my question is, does this really work?
So yes, it does really work. And this is how I will explain it. So what happens is this: you have a lot of companies that there are companies that want to get a small monthly payment from you every single month. And they're focused on, so most of the people that you come across in this industry, they're focused on money. They just want money. And they're looking at you as somebody that has a problem and, hey, look, let me get you on a monthly subscription. And now, hey, I'm going to take my sweet, precious time curing you, if I cure you at all, because I want to make money off of you. That happened to me and it drove me nuts. And that's one of the reasons why I do what I do. Then you have other people like me who really care about people and making a difference and having an impact. So when I work with a person, I charge a flat fee and I'm going to work on your behalf and I'm going to remove those items and I guarantee my work. Why? Because I don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. I look and evaluate your credit report and I look at all three bureaus, number one. I attack all three bureaus at the same time. Most companies do one item, maybe 2 items a month so they can drag those monthly payments out. I evaluate your entire credit report. I look at everything that's on there and I create a strategic scientific plan and approach for each and every item on your report to get those items removed. And so that is the difference. If you were ever to have if you went to court, would you want to defend yourself or would you want a professional attorney defending you in that court case?
A professional.
So when you work with a professional, guess what you have to pay? They usually cost a little bit more, right? But the quality of service that you get, the attention to detail that you get is different. So it works, but if you're trying to cut corners and take shortcuts or not spend the money, you get what you pay for, or you get somebody that's just after your dollar and they don't really treat you like a human being and don't perform that service, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, it makes sense. And I know we talked about this a little off the camera, but again, you are someone who actually utilize the service you provide.
Yeah. I came out of pocket. So let me actually tell you my story. So I was working with a company doing the monthly payments. Literally after they got my upfront small deposit and were charging me monthly, I would call every month to try to get my update. They want to control everything. Literally, they would not answer my phone calls, would rush me off of the phone, not send me updates or do anything. And so that was driving me crazy. But I was really determined and focused to really fix my credit. I was talking to a buddy of mine. My buddy says, hey, man, he's like, man, I'm about to spend like $1,500 to get my credit fixed. I'm like, you about to do what? And so I'm like, okay, I'll watch. And this is what most of us do in life. Instead of actually taking action when somebody else takes action, we're like, let me sit back and watch. So that's what I did. But I fired the company that I was paying because I'm like, look, these guys aren't doing anything. I said, okay, what I'm going to do is actually learn this thing for myself. So that's when I began to study. 6 weeks later, my buddy sends me a text message of his credit scores. This dude's credit went up. His credit score went up 200 points.
6 weeks?
In 6 weeks. Like gone. Like debt gone. Like debt permanently gone. I was like, what? And so I said, that was all I had to say. The same day, I said, look, I got $1,500 here. It's my money. Let's do this. So 6 weeks later, score went up. And the crazy thing is, as much as I had studied to learn and become an expert at it, there were still things that you couldn't find out and you couldn't uncover. So like if you look up free information online or pay for most of these cheap little guides that you'll find, they'll give you a little bit of information, but they don't fill in the gaps. So you won't know how to actually finish doing the service. So I went back to the guy who helped me with my credit. And I said, look, man, I said, I've been studying this thing. So we had a conversation and I was pretty knowledgeable because I've been studying and investing in this craft because I'm passionate about it, right? And so I'm like, do you mentor? It was a spiritual thing because I had prayed on it. I said, God, I'm serious about this. I really want to understand this because this is life-changing. And I said, I need a mentor. Me and the guy had a conversation. He said, yeah, I'll mentor you. And then he taught me he taught me the subtle nuances. And that's when I really began to understand this thing as like a science. So if there are a lot of people who are out here who kind of know and like, they're like, hey, I can make some money, right? And so that's why they charge little because they don't really have the knowledge and the expertise. But when you learn and you've mastered the craft, you have to charge a premium because you understand with precision how to help people and you're changing lives. So when we talk about changing lives, I'm talking about people that have $200,000, $300,000 in student loans on their account and they can't buy a home. But then because of what I know and what I can do it's gone within months. So if it took you 6 to 12 months to get rid of $200,000 to $300,000 off your credit report, and you can buy the home of your dreams, would you do it? How much would you spend for that? You see what I'm saying?
Priceless.
Medical bills, repossessions, bankruptcies, judgments, all of these things can be removed. So it's about what do you want out of life? Do you want to feel that stress and that pressure? Or do you want to be liberated and feel free and get the vehicle of your homes and get a vehicle that's safe, get a vehicle that's reliable, get the home of your dreams and be able to enjoy that time with your family? That's what we're talking about. And how much is that worth versus the stress and the burden that you carry and feeling like you can't breathe? Because I've been there. So being on the other side, man, it's incredible what you can do. And this credit repair does work.
Wow, that's powerful, bro. That's powerful. I mean, and so my next question, in which you kind of just touched on it, is about how long does it take? And I'd imagine every circumstance is different. I know you said your homie, his did 6 weeks. Yours was like 6 weeks. So what was the average? You know, if someone is out here, you know, and they have the student loans, they have the collections and things of that sort, how long does it take to start to take back control when they come in, work with Jamel?
So the thing about credit is everybody's situation is completely different. Yeah. You know, two people might have student loans, but they have different lenders. You know, 2 people might have repossessions. So, you know, it's different. But I can tell you this, when you start the process, you will see immediate results and you'll see continued results. So I always tell people, hey, look, give me somewhere between 4 to 6 months. And you like 4 to 6 months down the road, your life can be completely different. And then like, we'll continue to work. Because once you work with me, you have me for life. So my approach is like, look, let's go ahead and get this taken care of, 4 to 6 months, and you'll like literally see results. I do the same process. I mean, you might see some things immediately. It just depends on what you have on your record. But let's see what life looks like a year from now. You should be feeling pretty good.
Wow, bro. Wow. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna wrap this thing up because this is getting powerful here. And I'm gonna be real. You know, you touched on some faith stuff, and bro, it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur that my faith started to kind of radiate. It all happened by accident, to be real with you, because I'm not even on that, you know what I'm saying, talking faith stuff all the time. And then fast forward, I'm talking about creating heaven on earth. Like, it's just organically going through the process, going through the journey, and seeing how God has positioned people like yourself, you know what I'm saying, into my life, and just the journey, and just it's a faith thing, bro. So, you know, as you speak, bro, I'm gonna be real. I'm convicted. You know what I'm saying? I've gotten convicted just based off of this conversation, because I am that person who did not want to talk about credit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? And just recently, you know, my wife and I just decided, like, now's the time. You know, now is the time, because if we don't decide to do something about it, it'll never happen. And so, you know, you and I talked, you know, we have a plan to, you know, piece together a plan so we can get started on my end. But this is powerful information, bro. This is powerful information. The reason I just brought up that faith, brought up my faith, and how I truly feel the Spirit is working in this webinar, is because we're here to serve, man. We're here to serve. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, what's a price that you would put on, you know, the peace of mind, knowing that you can go out here and actually live the life of your dreams with no restrictions? Because let's be real, when you got credit, life's easier, period. You know what I mean? Life is absolutely easier. So, man, I just really, really, you know, pray and, you know, ask that those who are watching this particular webinar really pray on this information, because this is powerful and life-changing, bro. Like, just because it may get harder to get a mortgage doesn't mean it's impossible, especially when you have the people and resources in place to make it happen. So I just want to say thank you, bro. Thank you for your time, and thank you for just pouring into us, bro.
Hey, look, it was, I think it's 1 Peter 5. The thing that stood out in that verse: serve and be an example. So it's our job to serve and be an example. And the more we work to be an example and in His image, the easier it is for us to serve. And He'll provide the resources so we can shed the light to the others.
Bars. Bro, give us one quick tip, man. I initially said a couple, but I'm gonna be real. You've gone too hard. Give us one quick tip that we can implement today, tomorrow, yesterday, to start to improve our credit. I know you talked about managing your credit. You talked about utilization. Just let's choose one thing for the people.
So I'm gonna give you a principle on management. And management for me is a biblical thing, because you have to manage to get what you're given. You have to manage, and if you do that, it will multiply. So I would give you this, and I'll tie it into credit. So when it comes to credit, utilization is 35% of, weighs 35% in the 100% makeup of your credit score. So if you have credit cards, or if you have credit, which would be considered revolving debt, okay? So that means each month that you have a certain allowance. So let's just say you have $10,000, right? What you want to do is you want to make sure that your utilization, most people in the industry will tell you 30%, right? Because that's just a popular term. But as I was building my own credit, what I uncovered was if you reduce your utilization to under 10%, and if you get it lower than 6%, your credit score can jump up 20, 30 points just from doing that one thing. So you might be running at 80%. So if you had $10,000, that'd be $8,000 that you have on that credit card, right? But if you were to bring that down to under $1,000 or under $600 for a $10,000 credit card, you'll see your credit score go the next month. Once your billing statement comes around and your statement comes out, you'll see your credit score jump up because utilization weighs such a big part of your credit score. So that's my one tip on managing any credit cards that you have, and that's one thing that you can do quickly to transition and increase your credit score.
Powerful, powerful. We're going to end with that, bro. Jamel, thank you. I already said thank you for your time, bro. If you felt convicted by this message like I have, right, I ask that and you want to actually speak with Jamel, have a consultation, talk to him about your situation and what needs to be done so you all can make power plays together. I'm going to ask that you text RESTORE, RESTORE, RESTORE to 407-559-8232. I'm going to have it on the next screen here, and it's also below. It's also below in this landing page. Text RESTORE to 407-559-8232. Jamel will get in contact with you, and again, he'll do what he does. That's not my world. I just bring the people on so they can be great and just provide the people with the information that we need, man, that we're not to really take control and put us in position to go create our heaven on earth, right? So, hey, brother, is there anything you want to leave the people with?
No, just stay safe, positive, and blessed, guys.
I appreciate you, brother. Hey, y'all have a good one. It's kind of scripted. Peace.